I just saw a show that had Elon Musk, I think, being asked what's the biggest threat to civilization. It's all dramatic, bah, 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 civilization is going to be crushed and die. I hear that like the end of Western civilization. You could find 1,000 videos with something like that title. Anyway, so they ask him, and he says that, according to him, without a single doubt, the biggest problem facing humanity is the falling birth rate, underpopulation. And so I think that a lot of us are thinking, well, that if you're concerned about the environment, that's going to be a good thing, isn't it? I doubt it's quite that straightforward, but if you weren't working in a hospital or whatever, you might say, okay, that's not such a catastrophe, is it? At least it's good for the environment. But you just dig into it just for half a second, and you can see that they're not just going to die tomorrow, right? That they're going to spend a lot of time, on retirement savings plans and getting treatment at the hospital, and eventually what's going to happen is that there won't be enough productive people left to support it. I mean, I know people can remain productive, till some people remain productive until the day they die. Most lucky people do that. But they're not exactly encouraged to. And so it's a catastrophe waiting to happen, according to him, according to a lot of people. But so I just want to add two things to that. The first is that, isn't it just a little bit strange that, say, in Canada, we knew that there was really a problem with the aging population, and we know that it's costing too much. And so COVID comes along, and, I really don't want to say it exactly like this, but COVID really affects mostly the elderly and the really sick. COVID could have taken care of our overpopulation or our aging population problem. I've never heard anybody say that, except once. Yeah, okay, I did once. This guy was interviewed on a newspaper, and he said, "Oh, my parents don't want help. They don't want the economy to shut down because they understand the damage that will do to their grandchildren. They'd rather die than see a slowdown in the economy." This guy was just interviewed. He said that. And so they contacted the guy's parents, some mean-spirited, wickedly stupid mainstream media guy did an investigation, found his parents, and went and told his parents what he'd said. And they'd say, well, yeah, of course. What do you think? We've been, we're 75 or whatever. Of course, we'll accept medical care, but we don't want the country going into debt or any damage done to the economy to save us. What do you think? It's the only time I've ever heard it. I've never heard anybody say that. And obviously because it would hurt so many people's feelings, especially older people and people who are a little bit sick. But what they're not doing is they're not looking at the damage that that the debt and the blow to the economy is going to do to people, and all the damage it did to kids. What's going to happen is the further that we get away from COVID, the more that we're going to start realizing that the damage that was inflicted on children, and it's going to be a lot in a whole bunch of ways, not just children. The number of suicides and overdoses and rates of family violence and people just being isolated and lonely and depressed and all that kind of thing. That will become more the topic of conversation, and the dangers of COVID will shrink. and they'll try to ward that off. Governments and big pharma and big media who take money from big pharma are going to try to ward that off, but that's coming. That is definitely coming, and it's not going to be pretty. So, should prepare for that. Yeah. Okay, and so what Elon Musk doesn't say is that in the Muslim world and in large parts of Africa, there's no problem with right? They're still having kids. And as they become more wealthy, then they'll become more like wealthy people and have fewer kids, probably. But I don't think that they've slowed down much now. And so that's going to contribute a large number of workers and citizens of the future. So, I mean, this is literally the plan. People don't like this word, but it's like the replacement plan. And it's called the replacement. So people who are traditionally European are going to die off, and they're going to be replaced by people from the Islamic world and from Africa. And there's some of us that are thinking, there might be some cultural issues there, right? This maybe is not going to go quite as smoothly as some people might imagine. And in my mind, I don't know why I can't let this go. I can't let this go. And what's worst about this is that, everybody knows and nobody talks. I can't find a way to make a joke about this. Interracial rape is 98% black on white. I don't know that that's necessarily due to racism. I think that good luck trying to rape a black woman, number one. So that explains a lot of it. But the fact that it goes 98% black and on white and nobody talks about it, nobody talks about that. Okay, so even Obama said that he visited his parents or whatever in Africa. And I'm using Africa, the continent, meaning that, a lot of the countries are like this. It's what Obama said, is that they're so misogynistic. So what you've got is a growing population that is known to be quite very misogynistic, expanding and moving into a country where there's a declining birth rate and everybody's getting old, and nobody in those countries has actually been trained to stand up for themselves or take pride in their country or their civilization or their country or anything. So it's a lot worse than Elon Musk thinks. And you got to do this. Well, of course, I'm not talking about all the people from Africa. That's ridiculous qualification that people are, I guess, required to do. Yeah, that's true. I'm not saying that every person from that part of the world is bad. No, I'm not saying that. Yeah, that's... sorry about this. I don't know. There's no funny way or hopeful way to end this, I don't think. I really don't think there's any hope.